Joey, you might remember from a couple of years back, one of our traditions before we turn it over to the real media, you have a couple of questions that I ask on behalf of the bowl.
Gotcha.
You're in Memphis. We're about the music and the food. First, Elvis. Young Elvis or old Elvis? You have a preference?
Young Elvis. You know, I'm 53 years old, so there's a lot of things that I remember about Elvis Presley. Whenever I was in high school, I had a counselor named Miss Crowley, and I'd come down there, and she loved Elvis, and I thought I could do a pretty good Elvis impersonation. I cannot. It's bad. I'm not going to do it right here, but you know, I grew up on Elvis Presley and all the movies, and I love. What's crazy is I have not had an opportunity though to go to Graceland because we've been practicing the 2 times that I've come, and my wife has done it, and my family, and I have to go. But I love Elvis. Any Elvis is great to me.
Barbecue, on the rib issue, dry ribs or wet ribs?
Well, I'd say wet ribs, but I probably need the dry ribs because they seem like they're less messy. You know, we've been wearing a lot of white. You know, you see the guys are in some white pullovers, and our players. My D-line coach, Coach Fitch, we had ribs at the hotel the other day, and he actually took his jacket off so he wouldn't get it everywhere. You can imagine D-line guy that's about 350 pounds, he probably needed to not get it everywhere.
Good enough. With that, we will open it up for questions.
Coach, being a Texas high school coach yourself, what do you know about Taylon coming into this one?
Yeah, played at a great program, Louisville Fighting Farmers. Played for a great head coach, and you know, I remember it in high school. You know, we actually, I was at Baylor whenever he first came out, and you know, we were interested, and then you know, he goes to Boise, had a great career there, and man, I'm fired up that you know he's doing what he's doing in Arkansas. I'm a big fan of Coach Pittman and his culture, and just the way he treats his players and what he believes in. And so I know he's playing for a great man, and he's going to be tough, man. He is a really good football player. Does a great job with his arm, but you know, whenever things break down, he can be real creative with his legs, and you know, we've got to be really aware of what he's going to do, especially 3rd down and 4th down of moving the sticks. But great player.
Coach, how would you say Evan has maybe assumed that kind of command role for you guys, and how might your offense look a little different with him?
It won't look any different. You know, he's been our number 2 all year long. We played another young man some early in the season, but you know, if it would have come down to trying to go win a football game, Will would have gone in. We got lucky that we didn't have to burn his red shirt or anything like that. He's different. I've not been around very many young men like him, 18 years old, and the way he prepares. I mean, he's in the building as much as any one of my vets. He's got a very high football IQ, high care factor, and the players love him. I mean, he's just one of those guys that, you know, people gravitate to, and so we feel really good, you know, about what he's going to do with the offense, and we're going to let it fly, man. We're going to let him do and run everything that we have. I mean, it's going to be interesting because, you know, we have 2 new coordinators, you know, that won't be in the game, but we got 2 of our vets, you know, that have been on staff that are going to call the game tomorrow, and so it'll be a little bit different, you know, just because of the personality of Juice and Coach Kitley. But as far as what we're going to do, as far as much offense as we're carrying in this game, it's no different than what we did any time during the year. We're really confident in Will Hammond.
Coach, what does it mean that this team can get a 4th bowl win in a row?
I don't know if it's ever been done at Texas Tech, you know, and I don't think it has. Dowdy, you in here, has it been done?
9 consecutive years.
Yeah, so not 4 years in a row. So I think it's a pretty big deal, you know, and it'd be our 3rd since I've been here. You know, it's kind of come full circle. It started with Sonny Cumbie beating Mike Leach 4 years ago at this bowl, and, you know, coming back and being able to play Arkansas, and we could get that win. It's not just the 4 years in a row, but it's also a 9th win. That hadn't been done since Mike Leach's last year in 2009. Actually, Leach didn't win that game. It was Ruffin McNeil, I believe, that won that bowl game to get to 9 wins. And so tomorrow's a big marker to push this program forward and push this culture forward of what we want to do.
Coach, I'm not sure how much you're willing to share, but what have your conversations with Taj been like, and do you expect him to play tomorrow?
I'd say it's 50-50. I'm letting him totally decide that. You know, I guess I'm a lot different than everybody else. You know, I take every single year as its own year. I mean, we're going to have guys that are committed to other places, that are in the portal, that are going to play in the game tomorrow. We had a young man that caught a touchdown pass last year in the bowl game that was committed to another place and played there this year. You know, so I take every single year. These guys earn the right to play in this game, and so we've got guys like that. And then Taj, you know, he's carried the ball more than anybody else in the country the last 2 years, and so he's practiced every single day. And I told him, I said, hey, you know, it's up to you what you want to do. If you want to play in it, let's go. If not, we got 2 young running backs, 2 freshmen, Jacoby Williams and Cam Dickey, that, you know, have played all year long. I wasn't able to keep their red shirt intact, and so they'll be a lot of fun to watch. They're excited, but I would say it's 50-50. I'm going to let him make that decision tomorrow.
If he plays or doesn't play, how much does that change your offense and what you do with it?
Well, Taj, I honestly have never been around, again, a young man like him. He can make bad plays into good plays. He's always going forward. You know, I thought it was really frustrating. I have a couple guys on my team that I thought should have been in the finalists of some awards. So I really questioned what people were watching this year. I thought Taj Brooks, him not being at the Doak Walker, was really almost criminal. I mean, we have 2 guys that he passed up this year to be the all-time leading rusher that were both Doak Walker winners, and you know, he wasn't invited. If you look at what he does on the field, it's absolutely incredible. As far as the calling the plays and stuff like that, it won't be any different. But then the other 2 young backs, like Jacoby Williams, you know, out of East Texas, he brings a whole different dynamic. You know, he's just dynamic out of the backfield catching the ball. I mean, he's a home run hitter, won the state championship in the hurdles, so he's faster than Taj. You know, so there's some stuff that if those guys, and they're going to play even with Taj, if he plays, they're still going to play. And so there's some other stuff that people have to deal with.
Joey, 24 hours before kickoff, why is it not been decided yet?
Because
what is still under consideration?
Just him making that decision, you know. Really, I'm telling you, you know, I was fired up. Like, we had some guys that decided not to play in the game that didn't practice at all, you know, and like Josh Kelly, you know, opted out, and he hadn't practiced, you know, we knew that. Taj, you know, there was one point that Caleb Rogers was trying to decide, and he goes, Coach, I want to practice every day. Number one, because I want to make sure I'm not as rusty as I can be if I'm going to he got invited to the Reese's Bowl. And so we let him. And then I think Taj, to me, what he's done for Texas Tech, he's earned the right to make that decision. And I don't really panic about it because those other 2 guys have played, you know, all year long. And so if he tells me, hey, Coach, I'm ready to roll, then I'm going to pat him on the butt and say, let's go. And if he says, Coach, let the young guys go, then I'm going to give him a hug and say, all right, we'll settle these guys down because they're going to be really excited.
Coach, you talked about it on the teleconference a couple weeks ago of your connections to Arkansas. And now that you've been in Memphis this whole week and tomorrow is officially the game, has it set in yet that you're going to be coaching against the team that you've followed along for so long?
Now, I see the guys in the back with the Razorback. I mean, that's like, it's such a story. Like, for me, growing up in Texarkana, my best friend, his family got transferred to Germany, so they didn't want to give up their season tickets, so we got their season tickets. So going to Little Rock, my mom's side, all of my mom's side's from Arkansas. And so, like, for me, the first football that I can remember is that Razorback. You know, I do have a plastic Razorback hat at home. You know, and so really, that was my team growing up. And so whenever Kirby said we were playing Arkansas, I don't think he knew that. And I was like, man, it can't get any better. The only way to get better is if Arkansas and Texas Tech are facing off in the playoffs. You know, that's the only way this gets better for me whenever you're talking about that. It hadn't set in, but I think it is going to be really cool to look across the field and, you know, and see that helmet and that Razorback, you know, that I grew up watching.
Coach, what are the challenges of preparing for a team like Arkansas that's down so many starters? Like, does it change anything scouting-wise or anything?
No, because the coordinators are still the same. They're going to do what they do, you know, and Starting quarterback's still the same. I look at it totally different. This is what I told my team our very first practice whenever Will Hammond was going to start at quarterback. There's nobody more excited about playing in this game than Will Hammond. And so I imagine they're young guys. I mean, I think they're starting a freshman right guard. I imagine that dude is going to be excited to play in this game. And so if you take it that away, from the standpoint of you got to understand there's nobody on either side of the team that are like disappointed to be in this game. They're excited to be in this game. And so if you think that Will's not excited to be the guy tomorrow, then he's going to be amped up and really ready to go. So I think Arkansas is going to be the same way, you know. So I think it's going to be one of the most entertaining bowl games because I think you do have two really good cultures. I think you got guys that are excited about playing and you know, I think if the coordinators were a little bit different, you know, if you had a change, I think you could see a little bit, you know, different. But Petrino's going to do what he does, and we're expecting him to do it. And see if we can't stop it. We hope we can. And you know, they're good on defense. They got 7 starters, I believe, playing in this game. 3 of their leading tacklers are playing in this game, and so you know, we're kind of expecting to see the same thing.
What stands out to you on the Arkansas defense? Because they've had, you know, some really great performances against Tennessee and given up a lot of points to Ole Miss. But you know, what maybe is some of the things that make them a good unit when they're on?
And you could say the exact same thing about us, man. Our defensively, we've both been kind of the same. You know, we played good at different times and then gave up a bunch of points. Man, I think they're really sound schematically. I think they have guys that really run to the football. Their defensive line, especially, you know, whenever they have everybody, was really tough. Number 5, though, I know he's playing tomorrow night. I know we're going to have to figure out where he's at because he's really good. I mean, he's a dominant defensive lineman. And so I think the biggest thing, though, they play with a lot of passion, and I think they have a lot of reps banked into this defense. You know, even whenever Coach Odom was here, they were very similar defensively, and so I think they really have a good idea of what they're doing.
Coach, do you still have family around the Texarkana area?
No, my family in Little Rock, and you know, my cousin ran, I don't know what year it was, but it was on a national championship track team, which that's a lot of years for Arkansas because they dominated track for so long. But he lives in Little Rock, Clark Wayne, and so we still have family there. You know.
So your mom's from the Little Rock area?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It seems like you've had a lot of success keeping your roster intact for this bowl game. What's been the key to that?
You know, I think well, we're young on defense, so it's, you know, a lot of those guys still, you know, are growing. And then, I mean, our roster will look a little bit different, you know, after this game, you know, because some of our guys are leaving. But, you know, from my very first year, I have told these guys, look, if you want to get in the portal and leave, it's great. If you want to get in the portal and play in the game, you've earned the right to play in the game. You know, and so we have a lot of our same guys that have been playing together. You know, the guys that aren't playing in the game, you know, there's a couple like Josh Kelly, but, you know, Barron, we wanted to have that surgery. As soon as we knew we weren't going to be in the Big 12 championship, we tried to schedule that to give him as much recovery time as possible. He went to the #1 surgeon in the country when it comes to shoulders and does a lot of NFL and Major League Baseball, and we wanted to get ahead of the NFL schedule to where we could get it done. And so if not, he would have played in it because it was an elective surgery. I mean, he was slinging it around, you know, our last game, and so this was more like that. I do think, though, we have a good culture, and I go back, I think, you know, we got to keep growing, we got to keep getting better, and we've got to keep developing guys. But as far as the culture of guys that, you know, I think we're a fun team to watch because we're going to play really hard. There's a high care factor with this team. They care a lot about each other, and they care a lot about the university they play for. And so when you have that, you got a chance for guys to stick around.
Coach, last practice today, you have a lot of seniors. A lot of those guys, or a few of those guys have been here, you know, 4 or 5 years even. So what was your message to them and just the legacy that they are leaving at Texas Tech, whether they play or not tomorrow?
Yeah, you know, it was really the last couple of days, but, you know, they have, Caleb Rogers has done a lot for this university. I mean, talking about somebody, very few Red Raiders have started more games than Caleb Rogers, and Taj has done so much for this university. You know, I think it is, like we always look at our life is, it's that, like I was born in 1971 and there's a dash, you know, and in that dash, it's every single year is different. And the dash right now is the 2024 dash in their lives too, and the things that you're going to remember. And so I think that's why we've had really great practices. I'm going to be shocked if we don't play well tomorrow. And just ending it the right way. They know they do have a chance to do something that not a lot of Texas Tech teams has done, and that's having 9 wins. We want more than 9, but when you're talking about 9 or more wins in the history of Texas Tech, there's not a lot of teams that have done that.
Coach, how much does the game plan on offense change, just not having your offensive coordinator, your starting quarterback, your best wide receiver, and potentially Tosh?
You know, I think, you know, I wanted both CJ and Juice to put their personality, like, here's what we do, this is the playbook, you know, but pull the stuff out that you want. I mean, we're still going to be a tempo offense at times. You're going to see a lot more Jalen Conyers in, like, Josh Kelly's spot. I think that's a really good for Will, because he's such a big target, you know, and so I think that's going to, you know, be a big part of the game. You know, but we're not going to, whenever you've banked as many reps, if you go all the way back to spring football when Will Hammond was a mid-year freshman, when you banked as many reps in the stuff that we do, you know, we're not going to change what we do. But you will, I mean, there's no doubt, you know, Zach Kidley's not Juice and Juice is not Zach Kidley. So there'll be some differences, you know, as far as like possible things. The biggest thing to me tomorrow, though, is to get Will settled down, get him comfortable, get some, you know, rhythm throws and get him feeling good about himself, and then let him, you know, go out and play. I mean, we've seen him. We saw him in North Texas. We saw him at the end against West Virginia, and then we saw him in a critical game against TCU. He threw a touchdown, rushed for a touchdown, and, you know, had us where we were driving down and we fumble, or we're possibly in the Big 12 championship. So he's been in some, you know, pressure situations.
You know, due to the proximity, the last few times Arkansas played up here, it's kind of looked like War Memorial in terms of,
Yeah.
you know, it's been like a, do you anticipate it being like a road type environment if you worked on crowd noise, anything like that this week?
Yeah, we do. Number one, we play a lot of music in our practice anyway, so it's cranked up, especially, you know, whenever we were prepping at home. You know, we do a lot of stuff in the indoor to make it even louder. And, you know, whenever the offense is on the field, we'll pump crowd noise in when we're in the indoor. And I hope so. And I hope that thing is packed. I mean, I hope you hear a lot of Woo Pig Suey and you hear, you know, Raider Power, and it'd be really cool. I mean, you go back, I know I see a lot of young people in this room, but I see some guys that have some gray hair. Ladies, y'all don't have any gray hair for sure. But man, this old Southwest Conference, you know, battle, man, this is some cool stuff. And so I hope so, man. I would love for it to be a really, you know, I know the Red Raiders are going to show up, but it'd be cool to be a hostile environment. It'd be really, really loud, and because I do think this is going to be an entertaining game.
Spoke about the care factor a moment ago. And Sam Pitt was talking about Jake Rodriguez, and you said you can see it come through on the film. What's your take on what he's meant to you guys?
He's the opposite. I mean, on the other end is Taj. You know, J-Rod is, man, he's an absolutely incredible leader. He's one of my team captains. I mean, he's a grown man. You know, he's married. His wife is a helicopter pilot in the Army. She's a lot tougher than him, so I'd rather mess with him than her. It was great. She's been here all week, so it's been good to see her. But he is a true leader, and his best football is so far ahead of him. I mean, he was a high school quarterback for Wichita Falls Rider, goes to Virginia, plays quarterback, Wildcat quarterback, and gets in the portal. His defense coordinator calls me. I knew his DC from high school, being a high school coach, and he said, you know, would you take Jacob Rodriguez? I said, I'd recruited him out of high school, but I wanted him to play linebacker when we were at Baylor. I said, I will, but he's got to play linebacker for us. And he said, he's all in. And man, he's just been a rock star for us. And he gets us lined up. He is one of those guys that, you know, he's very calm, but has a fire burning inside to get to the football. And he kind of leads the way. It's been fun because we've taken every practice we could take for this bowl game because we want to get our young guys. Our young guys practiced a lot longer than our old guys. So he feels really fresh and his body feels good. So I imagine you'll see number 10 flying around tomorrow.
Troy, a couple of weeks ago when you were talking about portal guys playing in this game, one of the guys you mentioned was Jordan Brown playing.
Yep.
He's since committed elsewhere. Is he still here playing?
Yes, sir. Jordan's here. He'll be playing. Sterling Prochet starting at left guard. Brady Boyd will be playing tomorrow. I know those three guys are at least three guys off the top of my head, but those guys will be playing.
Coach, kind of going back to the culture that you've established at this university, I mean, what was it like to get to spend this time with your team over the holidays? And then how do you feel getting all those guys to sing 12 Days of Christmas translates onto the field? You know?
No, we just, we like to have fun. He was singing too now. I think you either have the third day or the fourth day.
Yeah.
I think you had the fourth day. You did. You had the fourth day.
Yep.
Man, that's something I learned from Mike Sarabo whenever I was at Baylor. He's the linebackers coach of the Minnesota Vikings. And we did that. I thought it was the coolest thing. And it just, we are a family, and I tell these guys, like even the guys that are leaving in the portal, I mean, they're stuck with me for the rest of their lives. I had a young man I talked to today. He played for me in 2007. He's got pneumonia right now. He's in the hospital, and I have a group text of high school coaches that there's 20 of us that we still stay in contact with. And a text went out, hey, that Brandon Davis is in the hospital, and I called him before I came over here. I mean, it's one of those deals. Like the way I look at it, these guys do so much for the university and for the families and for each other that I have to return that to them, and so even if they are leaving or graduating or anything like that, they really are stuck with me.
Troy, the ruling that has come out in the past week about former JUCO players being granted another year of eligibility, have you had any discussions since then with Davion about whether he would like to be back next year, or is this over? Tomorrow will be his last game?
No, we've talked. We've got three guys: Sterling, Davion, and we're trying to get the exact ruling on Devin Cromwell, who's playing in Canada. And it's the ruling time-wise is really, really tough because we've been really aggressive in the portal and added to this team, and so now it becomes to a numbers deal. Davion, and we've talked. I believe that I really feel like that there's a good chance that he'll be back. And I can't figure out how I feel about the rule. Everything has changed. As a high school coach, we still recruit a lot of high school players, but man, it just seems like every rule is totally against high school recruiting because it just starts pushing them farther and farther down the line. We're still going to do it. We didn't sign as big a class as we did the year before, but that's just because our roster is so young from the first two, or class number 2 and class 3. But right now, we've talked to Davion, and when we get back, we'll settle if he's coming back or not.
Anybody else? Coach, you got a couple for you before we wrap up.
All right.
Talk about the week, the way the experience has been for you and your football team here in Memphis.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. We got to see the Grizzly play. That was a lot of fun. It's always good. Guys went to Dave & Buster's. We'll go to the movies tonight, which is our normal routine. But I also got to thank in Memphis, the high school that we practice at. Their coaches have been absolutely incredible. We had some high school coaches actually come to practice, our first practice. So that was a lot of fun to talk to them, and it's been incredible. This bowl treats you the right way, and we're proud, and we'll definitely represent our university in this bowl game in the right way. We'll be excited to play tomorrow.
Well, we appreciate it. Last thing, I asked this of Sam. So much attention on the playoff, but for coaches like you who've been around, you've been through it, Sam too, as examples, what do bowl games like our game and other games, whether it's Tampa, Houston, wherever, what does that still mean to coaches like you and programs like yours?
Well, it's huge because, again, we look at it, my guys have done a great job with it, but not one, we didn't have a curfew. I said, you guys act like grown men. You won't have to, the curfew was 2:30. You got to be back in the hotel at 2:30. But, you know, because everything closed, I guess, at 2. I just like, I look at it as a reward, you know, and our equipment people have done such a great job with the bowl gifts. You guys did such a great job with the bowl gifts. You know, we're talking about the watches, and I was telling those guys, I mean, I had a freshman come up to me and go, Coach, this is the first watch I've ever had, you know, and I said, well, don't wear it. Put it up, because when you're going to be my age, you're going to want to be talking about this watch, you know, and I think it's incredible, but I look at it, one, as a reward, and number two, my young guys, like, y'all watch number 50 come out on defense. I don't know how much he's going to play. Watch 97, watch number 32, like 50, 6'6", 280-pound freshman, 97, 6'6", 270-pound freshman. Those guys have gotten so many practices that we're going to be so far ahead. And so whenever you look at bowl games that way, it's such an honor. And then your seniors, you know, it's really cool for them to have this last week together with their teammates. And so I think it's incredible. I mean, my goal, we always say, you know, we're already bowl eligible. You know, the 2025 Texas Tech Red Raiders, they're already bowl eligible. We're fighting for more than just that, but we want to make sure that our guys are here and enjoying it.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Wreck 'em.